Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to my channel. Welcome to another video where this video is kind of touching on some of the things that we've discussed about the Bhagavad Gita and figured that it's only appropriate seeing as it's Christmas. Merry Christmas, by the way. Yeah, we discussed the Christmas tree. We've talked about that before, right? And of course, touching on that tree of life symbolism yet again. And I mean, some people are automatically going to disagree with everything that I have to say about it, which is fine. If you see what I'm seeing, great. If not, whatever. But without further ado, the title of this video is going to be Christmas Tree or Krishna's tree. The tree of life, the tree of eternal life, right? We've talked about that concept before. We've been talking about and covering the similarities, direct parallels, correlations between Christ's teachings and Krishna's teachings, Christ's teachings and Buddha's teachings, which then of course would correlate to Buddha's and Krishna's teachings, right? And I just kind of wanted to touch on the concept of the Christmas tree, right? So first off, you've got this base tree, decorated with ornaments throughout the tree, and usually decorated with some sort of tinsel and or lights going up the tree, sometimes in the double helix pattern. Remind you of anything yet? Okay, we've talked about, I've talked about this concept before as well, but touching on that whole three-pillar symbolism of Freemasonry, where you've got the sun, the eye, and the moon. Okay? Funnily enough, these trees are usually decorated with the silver and gold tinsel, right? Which of course would be that sun and moon symbolism. Now that tree of life, of course, is tied to that middle pillar, right? It is the pillar of the eye, the pillar of the eye single, the pillar of the eye of wisdom, the eye of discernment, the eye of discrimination, being able to tell the difference between right and wrong, right? Logic, the eye of logic, so to speak. So, touching on that, you've got this whole concept of silver and gold, and of course in the previous video we talked about the radiance of the sun and the moon, talked about by Krishna. Of course, well, that sun and moon would be that red and blue 1 and 2 combination. Now, please forgive me for not actually having red. It's pinkish, purplish, magenta looking. I let my daughter play around on the whiteboard with my markers, and sometimes she leaves the caps off when I'm not paying attention, and it's impossible to find them without tearing apart the room, and so markers dry out, and I haven't been able to replace them as of late. Can't really make too much excuses for that, but I just wanted to kind of show these correlations, right? So you'll see this correlation in the Kabbalistic tree of life. We've talked about the correlations in the depiction of Yggdrasil by Benjamin Balderson, friend slash associate slash teacher of mine. I guess I'm just going to have to learn to deal with my inability to freehand geometrical patterns the way that I wanted to. All right, we talked about that tree of life. You know, that tree of life that starts down at the bottom with the root, goes upward into ultimately the trunk and the rest of the body of the tree and its branches, its paths, decorated with the tinsel and or lights, sometimes in that double helix pattern, sometimes in just one or the other, with the star or angel on top of the tree corresponding to that crown chakra, right? Or the very top sephirot on the tree of life, Keter. So, since we know that Krishna corresponds to the seer, the radiance of the sun and moon, right, the eye of wisdom, and the ultimately just that whole concept of the seer and the tree of life and all these things, it's important to ask, is the Christmas tree really about, you know, quote unquote Christmas, or is it a symbolic representation of what the spiritual allegory is supposed to be about? Right? Because, as discussed in previous videos, Christmas is, at least from my understanding, less about the material presents or gifts that we receive and more about the spiritual presence. Right? Now, it is a bit about giving gifts, right? We're supposed to give, and then through giving we freely receive, and that which we freely receive we give. But ultimately, what I find is that the spirit of Christmas is more about the spiritual presence and less about material presence, right? Some people might disagree. Ultimately, the material presence are supposed to be begotten of the presence of the Spirit. You're supposed to give because you love the individual, you care. And from that care stems giving of yourself. But if you're giving material presence with no spiritual presence, it just kind of represents a compulsion rather than true gift giving, you know. And at the same time, like, it's about getting together with people you love. Like, the spirit is supposed to be agape, or in the Hindu tradition, bhakti, right? That all-encompassing, never-ending, you know, reckless love of God, that it's ultimate, universal, and unconditional love and benevolence. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be about. At least from my understanding, that's what the Spirit is, the Spirit of God. And so Christmas is ultimately supposed to be about that, getting together with these people that you love and care about in what's supposed to be probably the hardest time to get through in the realm of nature, which is the cold deadness of winter, you know. And so, I mean, it just kind of begs the question, what is Christmas ultimately about for you? I mean, is it about spirit? Is it about some, you know, dogmatic and ritualistic compulsion that drives you towards cutting down a tree and decorating it, or getting an artificial tree and just giving gifts because it is some routine programming, or is it something that actually stems from your heart? I mean, it's up to each individual to answer on their own. You know, not trying to necessarily lecture, I guess. Well, maybe I am, you know, but not in the way that some might think I'm trying to come across as. I'm not doing this from a perspective of grandiosity, more so a perspective of love and care, even if it may not seem like it. But I hope you guys like this one. Been thinking about it a lot and looking forward to more progress in the realm of correlations between different philosophies, ideologies, religions, symbolism, and language, of course. And I mean, dude, I'd love to receive some more comments from you guys. I mean, the comment section's pretty dead. My viewership's been pretty quiet as well. I understand part of that's on me for um, being rather inconsistent with the way that I teach, and for that I apologize to you guys. I shouldn't say the way that I teach, but in the frequency in which I teach and get on here. You know, there's been times where I've gone 5, 6, 7 months without posting a video, getting caught up in worldly affairs and getting distracted and getting disheartened and discouraged, and that's entirely on me. That's not on anybody else other than myself. But I hope you guys keep coming back and keep getting stuff out of what I have to teach, because ultimately it's not even of me. You know, it's of spirit and it's of truth. So anyways, catch you guys on the next one.